Andrew McCART, IFL TV, MTK Global. I'm here near Glasgow somewhere. Delighted to be joined by Billy Nelson. Always good to see you, Billy. How are you?
I'm fine, mate, thanks.
I've just watched you and Martin do a wee training session here. The big man's looking good. I mean, 2020 is going to be a big year for Martin, is it?
I think it'll be a huge year for Martin. Bearing in mind we've still got 6.5 weeks to go before the fight. You know, he's getting himself in excellent condition. Got some fantastic sparring lined up. We've just done 3 very good weeks with Hughie Fury down in Manchester. We're back home for a couple of... we sparred Stephen Robinson as well, big boy for Newcastle, on Saturday, and maybe this Saturday as well. And then we've got two weeks with Anthony Joshua in Sheffield, and then Dylan White for 2 weeks, which I'm really looking forward to because we've not sparred him before.
That'll be interesting.
Well, it'll be, you know, a lot of respect for Dylan White. He's not had anything easy. He's been fighting him one after the other and beating him. You know, apart from Anthony Joshua, and fully deserved his #1 ranking. I'd love to see him fight for a world title of some description, and hopefully he'll win it.
Obviously, you said we'll just stay on. We'll touch on Dylan White. We'll just stay on the big man, Martin BAKOLE here. Your charge. You said he's going to fight in 6.5 weeks. Is that the 28th March card?
I'm led to believe it's the 28th of March. We're very fortunate. We've got a new sponsor on board for Martin. It's JR Group.
I was going to ask, who are these guys?
It's actually my cousin and his partner. They're a building company for Paisley, the JR Group. They've kindly sponsored Martin for the next 12 months, and they've done really well by him. So he's over the moon. It makes things a lot easier for Martin, and my cousin's over the moon to be involved in the boxing.
Martin BAKOLE, obviously, since he's been sort of like doing that promotion with Eddie Hearn, was it the big middle of last year? He's had 4 fights. Three fights, 3 wins, 3 KOs. Going into 2020, everyone talks about the heavyweight division. They always mention obviously the top 3: Wilder, Fury, Joshua. Then they've always mentioned like the Dillian Whites, the Andy Ruizes now, Povetkins. You know what I mean? There's a group of heavyweights they always mention that they want to fight each other, right? When do we hear Martin's name amongst that group? When will we hear that?
We'd fight any of the names that you mentioned there. We'd fight them on the 28th of March. That's not a problem, as long as the deal's right. As long as the deal's right and Martin's happy with it. First and foremost, if Martin's happy with it, he's the one that's taking the punches, and I'm his manager. I represent Martin. Me and Martin are very close, and we talk about everything. And if it's right for Martin, we'll do it. If it's not right, we'll not be doing it.
What type of opponent are you hoping for the 28th of March for Martin?
Top 10 in one of the organisations. There's 2 names been mentioned, which I can't mention now because of negotiations trying to tie up one or the other. But we were hopeful of getting the name mentioned yesterday, but it should be this. Well, I'd imagine it'll be this week, definitely.
This week. You touched on it. Martin's gone down to, I'd imagine, London to go and spar Dillian White. You've never sparred Dillian White before. Obviously, I don't think it has been announced as well, but Dillian's fighting Povetkin. It looks like that's what I'm hearing. What are you hoping for from the spar with Dillian White? Because you said you're not sparred him before. You've got some nice things to say about him. He's probably top 4 heavyweights, top 5 heavyweights in the world. So
definitely, I'd say he's probably. Well, you can only go by who the world champions are. They're 1 and 2 in my eyes. You've got to be 1 and 2. They're the champions. And Tyson's up there. Dillian White's most certainly up there, and I believe that man at the end of this year will almost certainly be up there. So he's too established now to say it's a good experience to go and spar with Dylan, because it's not as if he's a novice or an up and coming guy coming. You know, he's an established professional himself now, but he'll get the best of sparring off Dylan because both of them are fighting men. And get great sparring, sharp sparring.
Obviously, you're good with your good mates, Anthony Joshua. So is Martin. You sparred Anthony
countless times.
Right? Exactly. I was going to say hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. But are you kind of hoping that Anthony frees up a couple of the belts so Martin can maybe chase one like maybe the WBO? Because sometimes it's hard for a challenger like Martin to get a shot at the world title if one champion holds all 4 because his mandatories and that gets in the way and blah 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 blah. Are you secretly hoping that frees up at least the WBO belt.
An ideal scenario for Martin would be if he fights somebody in the top 10 and beats them and gets a ranking, say in the top 6, 7, whatever, or 6 or 7 or 8, and he's got to sell in that position as ranking wise. If whoever was the champion, or if that title was vacated, then he's in prime position, or a position to fight as a voluntary defence for whoever wins the title, if it's a vacant title or whoever holds that title. But you know, we need titles vacated to give other people opportunities to win. Because I don't think Josh has got all the titles bar one, and I don't think Wilder's overly keen on coming to Britain to fight for all the titles. I think Josh should go. I think Josh should go over there for it, but I personally don't see that fight happening. And then I think then Josh will have the issue of the mandatories, so he'll maybe have to gear up one. I don't know. And if he does, then that gives the door of opportunity for Martin if he gets his top 10 ranking.
You've been in the game long enough, right? And you know how hard it is to get a world title shot. Do you think Martin will get his world title shot this year, or do we have to wait till 2021?
I think we'll have to wait till 2021. If the opportunity arose, we'd grasp it in both hands, and Martin can be the first Congolese heavyweight world champion. And my dream now is I've won world titles and been very successful in winning in the world title fights, but I'd love to be the first Scotsman to win a world heavyweight title. That would be just fantastic. I'd love that. It's my dream.
What, you mean you're going to put the gloves on and fight?
No. I'm the right weight, the wrong size. No, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean,
first coach to win a world heavyweight title for Scotland.
Well,
what an achievement that would be on a personal basis,
and for Scotland,
but more so for Martin. Yeah. You know, it's all about Martin.
Well, I took Martin on the pads, shall we say, and I felt that right hand. Now, I've never felt a right hand like that. Or he pushed me back into the ring a little bit with that right hand. I mean, if that lands on any head,
about 4 feet.
About 4 feet. Well, don't push it too much, Billy. Right? But if that right hand lands on any of these heavyweights, I mean, this heavyweight boxing, everyone says it only takes one punch, but
it's good night, Dick.
Exactly.
People haven't seen what he's capable of. They truly haven't. Some people in sparring have seen the skill aspect that he's got, but not the full repertoire skill that he's got. And when he puts it all together, see if he puts it all together, I think he beats everybody. And I'm not just saying that, I genuinely believe he beats everybody.
I want to stay in the heavyweight division. Obviously, I want to get your views on a couple of the fights that are looking like happening this year, and a couple of them that are happening this year. Obviously, we'll start with Dillian Whyte, since you mentioned him. You're going down to spar with him. Looks like he's going to face Povetkin. How do you see that fight?
Well, it's a good fight, isn't it? It's a very good fight. Hopefully, Dylan won't come in the condition that he came in against Mariusz Wach, because he was out for a long time. Wrongly accused of taking something. That must have fried his head. That's terrible, having to put that boy through that for that length of period of time. He came back, he got the win. He beat Mariusz on points, and Povetkin's a very good fight for him. A very good fight for him. Povetkin proved that he's still got a good bit left in the tank when he fought Michael Hunter. I thought personally Michael Hunter won the fight by a couple of rounds, but Povetkin certainly showed there's still plenty left in the tank yet.
Michael Hunter's he seems to be the bogeyman in this heavyweight division.
Call him the bogeyman. We'll fight him again. Martin desperately wants that fight again.
That's good to know. I've actually spoke to you about this on numerous occasions.
I mean, Michael beat us fair and square on the night, but there was underlying issues with Martin, which it's I'm bored to the back teeth of telling people that there was a massively genuine excuse for the performance that night. It was 16-17 months ago. We've moved on. We had 4 fights last year. We went to Poland. We two years. Me and him went there. 9,000 Polish people in the crowd, and they knocked out Mariusz Wach after systematically getting a beating. And unbelievably, after I think it was round 7. At the end of round 7, 2 judges had Martin 1 round up, and the other one had whack a round up. Unbelievable.
But he needed to get that stoppage in, didn't he?
Oh, you need to go to pole and stop, man.
Yeah.
But he done it.
Staying in the heavyweight division again, Joshua Pulev. I think Joshua just gets through this with...
Oh, he'll knock him out.
Yeah.
He'll knock him out. Aye. He'll knock him out in the first 5 rounds.
That was quick and easy. One that a fight that I'm intrigued by and I'm looking forward to seeing is Dubois Joyce. Now, you've been vocal in Martin facing Dubois and Joyce over the past year and a half. They're fighting each other. How do you see that fight? A good fight?
It's a very good fight. You've got to admire both guys for taking the fight relatively early in their career. What will determine that fight on that night is who's got the best chin. Because both of them punch very, very hard. Both of them are limited, in my opinion, in the skill aspect of boxing, especially defence. Both of them. So I think it'll be purely down to who's got the best chin on the night.
Who wins? Pete on this
I would slightly favour Joyce.
And why is that?
Experience.
Do you know, both of them are relatively at the same stage in their career, in terms of fights and who they fought, so to speak. But it's the age of...
They're not.
Are they not?
No, because I think Daniel, in his own admission, hasn't fought as good opponents as Joe Joyce. And saying that, the 2 best names on Joyce's record is Jennings and Stavern, but Stavern was just a mess coming into the ring. As you know, it was in bad condition, and he still landed straight right hands, flush on his chin. Now, if it was a big puncher like Martin BAKOLE had done that, Joe Joyce would be flat on his back. Believe me, he would be flat on his back. A live, young, strong, fast guy would give Joe Joyce, and he's away back to America. That's, I think we're on trainer number 4.
5? So I'm sure.
Was it 5? No, there was the guy Rubles, Sanchez,
Booth,
Adam
obviously.
Booth, and then this guy 4.
4, yeah.
4 and 10 fights. More trainers than JD Sports.
That might be my title. Funny Billy. Obviously the big one happening next weekend, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, or Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. The rematch, the one that we've all wanted to see, because obviously what happened in the first fight, the draw. Does Tyson pull it off this time?
I think it's again him changing trainers again. I think Tyson, it doesn't matter who his trainer is, to be honest with you. Ben Davison done a fantastic job with Tyson, getting him into the condition to fight again. And my hat goes off to Ben for what he done for Tyson Fury. And loyalty's a big thing in my book. And I'd have liked to see Ben Davison still in the corner, but that's just my personal opinion. I thought the guy took him for a guy that was in having issues with eating too much and drinking, probably at 28 stone, and brought him down to 19 stone. He'd done a fantastic job with him, he's been replaced, which I think is very harsh. But that's just for a trainer's perspective.
They're still good friends, Ben and
I
Tyson,
know, but I still think he should be in his position because he's not done anything wrong. If anybody deserved to win that first fight, it was Tyson Fury. I personally scored at a draw. I did score at a draw.
Just you and one of the judges.
well, it's boxing's like it's opinions, it's opinion.
Subjective, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you look for things that maybe I don't.
I see things that maybe you don't, and you see things maybe I don't.
No, I couldn't imagine you'd see things that I don't. And but it's a great fight. I was going to say, irrespective of who trains Tyson, because I think a lot of it stems from his uncle Peter, and forgive me when I say this, but I can't remember his uncle's name before Peter. They trained him in that style, and that's the style he'll fight everybody in. The fast movement, plenty lateral movement, feints, off a jab. Don't think he'll change his style, and it's really can he avoid getting hit with Wilder again. I think Wilder can only be better in this fight because for me, it was very disappointing in the first fight.
Does Tyson do it though? Because obviously there was Tyson.
I hope he
Had
does
two
it.
warm-up fights, losing the weight and all that sort of stuff, and then fought Wilder. This time he's sort of like, the weight's gone. Now he's sort of like 100% focused on fighting now and getting the job done, so to speak, against Deontay Wilder. Do you think this is the right time for Tyson now to face somebody like Deontay?
What I would say, he'll have to be a lot better than what he was against Wallen, or he'll get beat. He'll get caught.
The two cuts in his eyes, maybe that played a part against Wallen. Do you think, or do you think?
Well, of course it played a part. He's been cut. Any cut for any boxer is going to play in their mind, but they were really, really hideous cuts, and you know, if Deontay Wilder hits that target, there's a very good chance that'll open up again. And I think if it was any other country in the world, that fight would have been stopped due to that cut against Wallen. That was a bad cut, you know. But he gets through it. He moves on, but that tissue will be weak. Because it was such a bad cut.
It was
you
a
know.
bad cut. It was deep as well.
I hope he wins.
One on the eyelid and one above as well.
I hope he wins. Like most people what I read on social media, it's going to be points to Tyson. I don't see Tyson knocking him out because he's not a big puncher. He's a capable puncher, but not a knockout puncher. And I don't think Wilder's got the best chin either. But he's got that equaliser.
That's all he needs.
1 second, split second. That's all he needs. Love to see Tyson win. Will he win? I don't know. It's going to be a hard fight.
You're going to stay up to watch it, or are you one of them guys that records it and then watch it the next morning?
No, I'll be watching it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And then feel like shit the next day.
You'll be in the gym training Martin. Finally, just give me a final word on Martin and your hopes for this year for him.
Well, like I say, if at the end of March, if we're in the world's top 10, that gets him the recognition that we need. I do believe that he's capable of fighting any man on the planet. He'll tell you that himself. We're fortunate we've got a great sparring, and I'm a great believer in spar as best that the best guys that you can, because steel sharpens steel, you know what I mean? And well,
is it iron sharpens iron or steel
sharpens steel, I think. But whatever, I'm sure it's steel. But he's a special fighter, and I hope you all find out this year how good he is. I mean, see when you people have given us a hard time saying that he fought 3 big men in these last 3 fights. These guys were fighting good fighters, and none of them, very few of them stopped him. One guy stopped Hernandez. Hunter never stopped Hernandez. Karlaki never stopped Hernandez. Another good guy never stopped
Kevin
Hernandez.
Johnson as well.
Kevin Johnson. Hey, Daniel Dubois took 10 rounds. Nathan Gorham took 10 rounds. He toyed with him. You know what I mean? He wasn't out of first gear. And believe me, see the wee short punches that he's got, as you know now.
Oh, I felt them. Yeah, look, he's laughing, look. Yeah? You got to tell him when you hurt me. He's knocked me out.
You've all requests going on the pads, Andy.
I just want to feel the power, because I said to him when he's throwing them shots, there's nothing in his face.
No, nice and relaxed.
It's like
timing.
Yeah, and he just. But I can hear the thud. I want to feel it. I want to feel the power.
What a lot of people don't do that he does do is accelerates through the combinations. You know, now you felt the power, Andy. You felt it.
I didn't go down though. Almost.
You were very close, in fairness.
Almost. Well, Billy, as always, thanks for doing Spyfield TV. Thanks for inviting me to the gym, and hopefully I'll catch up with you when the fight is announced for Martin. Hopefully it's a big name, and we get to see the best of the big man.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Billy.
Cheers.